Our lips were inches apart when the fireworks started, but they weren't the only thing about to explode. The small lantern festival that Emma had mentioned turned out to be anything but small. Hundreds of people had gathered in the field outside the old city walls, families with children clutching unlit lanterns, couples sharing blankets on the grass, groups of friends setting up elaborate picnics. The air hummed with anticipation and the sweet scent of jasmine from nearby vendors selling flower garlands. "It's beautiful," I said, trying to take in everything at once. The warm glow of paper lanterns strung between trees, the excited chatter in multiple languages, the way the setting sun painted everything in golden light. "Wait until they release them," Cayman said, his hand briefly touching my lower back as he guided me through the crowd. "That's when the real magic happens." Even that casual touch sent electricity up my spine. 6 days in Thailand, and I was becoming pathetically predictable in my reactions to him. Emma would probably have something sarcastic to say about it if she were here, but she'd begged off tonight, claiming she had blog posts to write, with a knowing smile that suggested she was giving us space on purpose. Which meant it was just me and Cayman, surrounded by hundreds of people but somehow feeling like we were the only two who mattered. "First Lantern Festival?" a vendor asked as we approached her stall, gesturing to the array of paper lanterns in every color imaginable. "For him," Cayman said, nodding toward me. "What do you recommend for good luck?" The woman studied me seriously, then selected a lantern in deep blue with silver details. "For new beginnings," she said in careful English. "Very auspicious. New beginnings." She only knew. Cayman purchased 2 lanterns, mine and a simple white one for himself, along with a small candle and lighter. "The tradition is to make a wish before you release it," he explained as we found a relatively quiet spot on a small hill overlooking the main gathering. "The lantern carries your wish up to the sky. Any particular rules about wishes?" "Just that they should be from the heart," he said, settling onto the grass beside me. Close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from his body, far enough away that it could still be considered friendly rather than intimate. I was getting tired of that careful distance. We sat in comfortable silence as the sun finished its descent, watching families around us light their lanterns and test the hot air that would eventually carry them skyward. Children squealed with delight as their parents held the delicate paper structures, and couples murmured quietly to each other, sharing private jokes and whispered wishes. "What made you want to travel?" Cayman asked suddenly. "Really, I mean, besides the job situation." I considered the question, watching a group of teenagers nearby debate the merits of different colored lanterns. "I think I was disappearing," I said finally. "Not dramatically, just fading. Becoming smaller and smaller until there was barely anything left that was actually me. And now I feel like I'm becoming more myself than I've ever been." I looked at him, found him watching me with an intensity that made my breath catch. "Is that weird?" "Not weird at all," he said softly. "Sometimes it takes leaving everything familiar behind to figure out who you really are." "Is that what you're doing? Figuring out who you really are?" He was quiet for a moment, absently spinning his unlit lantern between his hands. "I think I've known who I am for a while. The question is whether I'm brave enough to actually be that person." "What's stopping you?" "Fear mostly. Fear of disappointing people, of making the wrong choice, of wanting something I'm not supposed to want." He glanced at me then away. "Fear of wanting something that might not want me back." The last part was said so quietly I almost missed it, but the words hit me like a physical blow. Because unless I was completely misreading the situation, and I didn't think I was, he wasn't just talking about career choices anymore. "Cayman," I started, not sure what I was going to say but knowing I needed to say something. "We should light our lanterns," he said quickly, pulling out the candle and lighter. "The main release is starting soon." I wanted to push, to ask him to finish that thought, to bridge the gap between what we were saying and what we both seemed to be feeling. But something in his expression warned me off, so I nodded and watched as he lit the small candle that would heat the air inside our lanterns. "Wish first," he reminded me, holding the flame carefully inside his white lantern. "Then release." I closed my eyes, the blue lantern warm in my hands, and tried to think of what I wanted most in the world. A week ago it would have been simple. A new job, financial security, a clear direction for my future. Now, surrounded by the soft chatter of families and the sweet scent of incense, only one wish came to mind. Let this be real, I thought desperately. Whatever this is between us, let it be real and not just vacation fantasy. Let him feel what I'm feeling. Let me be brave enough to do something about it. When I opened my eyes, Cayman was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Ready?" he asked. I nodded, and together we stood, holding our lanterns as the heated air began to lift them gently upward. Around us, other people were doing the same, and gradually the sky began to fill with points of light. Dozens, then hundreds of glowing lanterns drifting up into the darkening sky like earthbound stars. "It's incredible," I breathed, watching our lanterns join the growing constellation above us. "Look there," Cayman said, pointing to where the main group had begun their release. A wall of light was rising from the field, so many lanterns that they blotted out patches of stars, creating their own galaxy against the night sky. I fumbled for my camera, trying to capture the impossible beauty of it, but Cayman caught my hand. "Just watch," he said softly. "Some moments are meant to be experienced, not documented." So I watched and felt my breath catch as hundreds of wishes floated skyward, carrying hopes and dreams and secrets into the night. It was magical in a way that had nothing to do with tourism or cultural experiences and everything to do with being human, with the simple act of hoping for something better. "What did you wish for?" I asked when our lanterns had become just 2 more points of light among hundreds. "I can't tell you," Cayman said with a smile. "Then it won't come true. That's not how wishes work. Isn't it?" We were standing closer now, drawn together by the intimacy of the moment and the magic of watching our hopes literally take flight. Close enough that I could see the reflection of lantern light in his eyes, could count the flecks of gold in the brown. "Ryan," he said quietly, and something in his voice made me look up sharply. "Yeah. I need to tell you something." My heart started hammering. "Okay." He took a half step closer, close enough now that I could feel his breath on my face, could see the way his pupils had dilated in the dim light. "I don't usually," he started, then stopped, seeming to gather his courage. I don't normally feel like this about tourists?" I supplied, trying for lightness but hearing the hopeful tension in my own voice. "About anyone," he said simply, and the honesty in it made my chest tight. The space between us had shrunk to almost nothing. I could see the small scar above his eyebrow, could smell his cologne mixed with the jasmine-scented air, could feel the heat radiating from his body. His hand came up to rest on my cheek, thumb brushing across my cheekbone with heartbreaking gentleness. "I know this is complicated," he whispered. "I know you're leaving eventually, and I know this probably isn't what you came here looking for." "It's exactly what I came here looking for," I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. "I just didn't know it until I found it." His smile was soft and real and made my heart do acrobatics. "Ryan." "Cayman." He leaned closer and I let my eyes drift closed, every nerve ending in my body focused on the rapidly diminishing space between us. His lips brushed mine, soft and hesitant, and I felt something electric shoot through my entire system. This is it, I thought wildly. This is what everyone writes songs about. But just as I started to kiss him back, just as his hand slipped into my hair and I felt him smile against my mouth, the night exploded in a shower of gold and silver light. Fireworks. Of course there were fireworks. We sprang apart, both breathing hard as the sky lit up with elaborate pyrotechnics that had the entire crowd cheering and pointing skyward. The moment was gone, shattered by noise and light and the press of people around us moving to get better views of the display. Cayman started, but his words were lost in another boom of fireworks. "What?" I shouted over the noise. He shook his head, stepping back with a rueful smile. "Later," he mouthed. But somehow I knew later wouldn't come. The spell was broken, the moment passed, and by the time the fireworks ended and the crowd began to disperse, we'd both retreated into the safety of casual conversation about the festival and the drive back to town. It wasn't until Cayman dropped me off at Malay's, with the same polite distance we'd maintained all week, that I realized what had happened. We'd almost kissed. He'd almost kissed me and I'd almost let him, and for one perfect, terrifying moment, I'd felt more alive than I had in my entire life. And now I had no idea what happened next. "Sleep well," Cayman said from the driver's seat, the same words he'd said every night this week. But tonight they felt different, weighted with everything we hadn't said and the moment we'd almost shared. "You too," I managed. I stood in the courtyard for a long time after his truck disappeared down the narrow alley, looking up at the stars and thinking about wishes and fireworks and the way his hand had felt against my cheek. Somewhere above us, hundreds of lanterns were still drifting through the night sky, carrying the hopes and dreams of everyone who'd released them. Mine was up there too, my wish for this to be real, for him to feel what I was feeling, for the courage to do something about it. Maybe, I thought as I finally headed inside, some wishes didn't need to wait for lanterns to carry them skyward. Maybe some wishes just needed the courage to speak them out loud.